that is allowed by the federal government is essentially allowed by New York State. And because of that, because of Obamacare, because of the Affordable Care Act, they can't change the level of services because they got to maintain those efforts. I don't know how you deal with the Medicaid problem, with it ballooning, with it getting larger, if you don't allow Albany to have the ability to change the packages of services.
You don't give them a raise.
And don't give them a raise, and don't expand it. It doesn't make sense. And it's interesting because now, if you watch closely, there's a waiver application going in to DC to have the state waived out of those requirements. And that's not good, because if you're picking favorites because of political relationships, to me that's a red flag that the policy is not right. And so, you know, we're keeping a close eye on them and going from there. Yeah.
Another question.
Sure.
Are you going to be around after you get elected more than your predecessor? Because he never shows up.
Never around.
Never here unless you pay to go to a lunch.
Oh,
we hear that quite a bit, actually.
Well,
That's the important
I can offer you one, my promise that we will be here. And second, because I know a lot of people talk the talk, but do they walk the walk? I'll put our record up on how we've conducted ourselves in the first 2 years as a representative. You know, doing these town halls, showing up, and being, you know, my mother-in-law lives just 20 minutes up. And actually, if I can come over in the fall or the spring when the steelhead are running up Canada Way Creek, we'll definitely try to coordinate the two so we can be over here for a town hall as the fish are running up through the middle of town. I'm a big fisherman. I love fishing and hunting and everything else. But yeah, we will definitely be coming around. I believe, I truly do believe, that is the part of being a representative, is to get out there and talk to people. And I'll tell you, I've had members down in Washington, both sides of the aisle. We talk to both sides of the aisle. We have a really easygoing type of attitude. Being the youngest of 12, you got to kind of be that way. But you know, they're like, "Why do you do so many town halls?" And you just get yelled at. You know, I'm like, that's not. I find such great ideas. I find great dialogue, and the common sense that we all have up here is what I want to apply to DC, not DC applying it to us. So I promise you, we'll be around. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. We bring the kids. We didn't bring the kids to the Chautauqua County Fair, but we came over to the county fair and got to see the cows and the pigs and milk the goat at the Cattaraugus County Fair on one of these jaunts. So where else would I have said I would get the experience to milk a goat than out here being part of the area? Yeah, sir.
I'm pleased that you're concerned about the debts, $16 trillion. That really is one of my major concerns. And another thing that I'm concerned about is about 47% of people pay no federal income tax. No, I don't think that's right either. Everybody should have at least some payment to the federal government. It shouldn't all revolve on you know, the other 50%.
And history's showing it's going more and more the other way. Less and less are from different expansions, different programs, and things like that. No, I agree. I think the code needs to be simplified. That will broaden it. And that means both top and bottom. I mean, you're going to get more people that get into that. And the code should focus, its number one goal, in my opinion, should be, and I think we've gotten away from it in the history of the development of the tax code since the '86 reform, is it's become more of a tool of social engineering than it has been the number one goal of raising revenue to cover the expenses. And I think the more we look at proposals from that perspective, it does a whole different kind of calculation in Washington in regards to, you know, when the special interest loopholes and all that stuff get put on the table. Look at it from what are we doing to accomplish the primary goal of raising revenue, as opposed to trying to accomplish some sort of policy through the code or some sort of rewarding, picking winners over losers. Got to get away from that.
We're kind of becoming a nation of givers and takers.
Yeah, and the analogy, I think the analogy that's very fit is, you know, one of the guys down in DC was talking about it. We went to a seminar and they were talking, you know, it's the analogy of being in the old horse cart, you know. In the beginning, everyone's kind of behind the cart trying to push it, and there's one driver, and then all of a sudden one gets on, next get on, and they start looking at each other, why am I pushing? I'll hop on too. Before you know it, the cart's stuck and it's not going anywhere. And that analogy kind of rings with me. So, sure.
I'm Steve Keefe, I'm the mayor of Fredonia.
Oh, Mayor.
And I'll let you know.
Sorry, okay.
Nice to
I'm
meet you.
sorry, nice to meet
No,
you,
that's
Mayor.
okay, that's
Thank you
not
for
a problem.
hosting us, by the
Let me
way.
make sure,
Oh,
yeah.
certainly, certainly.
Thank you so much for opening up the hall here.
Right, and I look forward to meeting you. I'll let you know right off the bat, I am Democrat, you know, but I work with anyone and everyone. I
Amen.
work very closely with Senator Young, Congressman, or Assemblyman Goodell, Congressman Higgins I've worked very closely with.
Yeah.
He has brought a lot of grant money into the district, and he's done a lot for the district. And I noticed that you did say that you're a Tea Party type of candidate. And I've followed your voting record, so I do know where you come from your voting record. And, you know, so we are polar opposites.
Sure.
Probably.
Sure.
Okay.
But there is some common ground, and
Right.
we've worked across the aisle. Ryan, we've done work with Kathy Hochul.
Right.
We've worked with her numerous times. And then I'm a firm believer of a team approach to it.
Right.
Kathy Young, you know, she's worked with us, I work with her, Andy and Joe Gilio and those guys,
Right.
all across the district for each one of the different state officials, because it's all about getting the issue addressed.
Right.
And a lot of the issues that we're, as a former mayor,
Mhm.
I know some of the similar issues you probably face, you know, it's infrastructure, it's water, it's sewer, it's roads.
All of the above.
I am with I am with you on
Mhm.
infrastructure spending. That's an appropriate investment at the federal level. So there are opportunities. Hopefully, we can identify and work together on. And I'm not a bomb thrower. I will definitely sit down and work with people as
Okay.
long as they want to work together too.
Well, you
Takes
know,
two.
it only makes sense to work together.
Yeah, where's
You
this
know,
one?
my goal is to make progress in the village. And it's a very nice village. We've got a lot of good things going on. I noticed that, you know, Senator Gillibrand was in Dunkirk a couple of days ago, and she was promoting a bill that's going through right now. And the bill works with technology business working together and trying to promote, you know, technology-based people and, you know, the promotion of entrepreneurship, business, and technology to create new jobs. It was an interesting question, though. And it was one of the local reporters from the Observer asked the question, if you don't have a Republican endorsing this bill, does it have a chance of passing through the Assembly? And it's an interesting question, because when you look at the voting records, it's seldom, and I was a county legislator for a lot of years, so
Okay.
I know how that split works sometimes, where, you know, you vote party lines, you know. I always try to be the one that would say, I'm not going to vote party lines, I'm going to vote for what's right. Are you the type of person that can vote for what's right? Could you look at a bill that's being sponsored by Senator Gillibrand, sponsored by other Democrats, and promoted through the Assembly?
Yeah, I definitely believe in that. We have also not only talked the talk, but we walked the walk. I mean, if you looked at the LaTourette Cooper budget, they say you followed our voting record. You know, we gave our name. We co-sponsored that budget. It's kind of the Bowles. It's the Simpson Bowles on steroids type
Right.
of proposal.
Right.
And I supported the Paul Ryan budget also.
Right.
But I'm very practical in my outlook on things. And until, as you point out, until the Senate, the House, and the White House are all under one umbrella and it's one-party rule, the Paul Ryan budget in its present form is not going to go the distance.
Right.
So we got to find out, okay, where is their common ground? And LaTourette Cooper, the Bowles-Simpson budget, was one that I said, okay, it kind of came out of a Go Big coalition I'm part of. Steny Hoyer from Maryland kind of leads it on the Democratic side, he, Schuler, and those guys. We get together and we talk about the issues. Mike Simpson and some other guys on our side, Steve LaTourette. And that was a proposal we actually co-sponsored and voted for. And we were one of 38 who did that. So one of the things I found in D.C. is there were so many guys before we voted, I'm with you, we're ready to go. Let's put up a big number to send the sign that we're here to tackle the big issues and we're going to come together. And well, after the time expired, I looked up and I'm like, oh, there's 38 of us who actually put our name on the record. So I use that as an example of where we're willing to put it in black and white. Because these problems that we face as a country, and that's one of my sincere hopes, and that's why I hope Paul Ryan's selection today as vice president candidate focused more of the presidential debate on the issues And Paul Ryan is a guy who's centered on the issues. Because, I mean, these attack ads that were coming out, you know, let's focus on tax returns, let's focus on us versus them, the top 2%. You know, that's not going to address the problems. That's just not going to do it. So, you know, if Social Security and Medicare need to be reformed, what are the ideas? Put them out there.
Well,
Let's
you know,
debate them.
if we look at the reform, you know, that's one thing. Do you really think Social Security is an entitlement? I know I'm 62 years old. I've paid into Social Security my entire life, and it's hard for me to look at it as an entitlement. Does it need to be revamped? Absolutely. Does it need to be changed? Absolutely. But I can't see it as an entitlement. And, you know, another thing, you know, you're talking about Medicaid. This young woman had a beautiful point. Medicaid is crippling the country. 25% of all the cost of Medicaid for this county comes from county taxes.
Yeah, we're one of the few states that does that.
Right.
And how are you going to, you as a mayor, because you face the same question, when you have a developer come in who's talking about citing a new facility or a new job opportunity for your residents, what comes up in those conversations?
Right, taxes.
Taxes, insurance, and utility costs.
Right.
Those,
Right.
a version of those three come up in that conversation.
Right.
And in New York, with that Medicaid property tax being
Right.
distributed 25-25,
Right.
that is when they look at our tax burdens, they go, "Poof, I'm out of here. I'm going to go look at Pennsylvania. I'm going to go look at other states that are much more competitive." And that's a problem. And then, if I may, taking that 25% and putting it back onto the state, are you really dealing with the problem? You're just shuffling it over
You're just shuffling
to
it
a different level.
Now, the one solution that I've seen in one state was, you know, our problem with Medicaid is somebody comes off Medicaid to go to work, loses health insurance. Now, there was a governor that came up with the idea that guaranteed health insurance for every working person and passed it in the state, and it made all the difference in the world. In fact, they got the leading healthcare system in the United States, they say. And that was Governor Romney. So the Obama program you call Obamacare and I call affordable health care started from the Romney plan.
Yeah.
And that solves part of this problem. I mean, why not guarantee insurance for everybody that's willing to work? Affordable insurance.
If it's done on a state, that's a fundamental distinction that I'll bring to the table than other candidates that are out there. If it's done on the state level, it's done on the local level, one size fits all national health care. My opponent, strong advocate of a single payer health care system, believes in national government-run, controlled health care. You could hand it over to the government. I don't see how you contain costs. I don't see how you make it sustainable long-term. Because, even though I disagree with the Supreme Court's decision, and I read it multiple times, at least they called out what it was that was being proposed. An expansion of government and increased taxes to pay for it. If that's what the policy is, then just be honest with the American people and say that's it. And if we want it as Americans, then so be it. And that's what the Chief Justice was saying. He's not going to question what the people have elected to put in policies of. He's going to let the people speak. And that's why I firmly believe in that. But state reforms, that's a different situation.
Right.
And we can have that conversation. But having us go all in with a federal national health care system, I'm not going to support that, nor do I think it's best for America long term when it comes to our health care. So that's an honest disagreement.
It doesn't work in Europe.
It collapses within itself, and it's not. It doesn't have the cost containment measures. Just the government doesn't have a good track record of doing that. More government means more taxes, and that's not sustainable.
It's not affordable.
It's not affordable. Yeah, exactly. And then you give the government the power, because he who controls the money has a lot of influence as to what kind of care would be then delivered and things like that. And that's where reforms, and there's provisions. I mean, 3,000 pages. I mean, obviously there's something the things that cause healthcare to be more transparent. There's proposals to take away the antitrust protections for health insurance carriers. I'm supportive of those, and I'll continue to be supportive of those. Anything that opens it up to more openness and transparency, I think that's a great step in the right direction. And that can be done on the federal level.
Well, I know
there's some common ground that
right.
we can
I know Blue Cross and Blue Shield is very much on board with, a health plan to cover all people because they increase their numbers of insured. And one of the things about it, when you get a bill from Blue Cross and Blue Shield, it says, this much was charged, this